Okay, I'd like to thank His Worship Mayor Headley for allowing me the privilege of taking his place. He is currently involved with Viterra's curling bond spill. Our first motion on the floor is, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa approve the regular meeting agenda for February 7, 2023. Do I have a mover? Gerard, seconder, and Nadeau. Although, is there any discussion on this matter? Do we have any changes to the agenda? All those in favor? Carried. Oh, okay.
I have official comments.
Okay. Okay, and our minutes were provided to council through AllNet. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa approve the minutes of the regular meeting and public hearing held on January 17, 2023 as circulated. A mover, Hodger and Kostenchuk. Any discussion on the minutes? Were there any errors? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we now have a delegation on the urban tree program being provided by past Mayor Adrian de Groot. Are you ready to go, sir?
Sure.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Parrott.
Yeah, thank you. And we have been provided with a copy of your document.
I did tweak it a bit today, and I talked to Dallas, and she indicated, I think, that she got the latest version.
Well, you might as well present a tweaked up version.
Yeah, tweaked up version, for sure, absolutely. So Deputy Mayor Parrott and council members and members of the administration, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening and talk about a bit of a passion of mine for many a decade. And you know, it's basically talking about, you know, the sustainability of Neepawa and an urban forest management program. So a public tree planting program already exists within, and, you know, not necessarily formally, within the community, you know, through the fine work of Public Works, you know, and through the engagement of a number of organizations within the community and from outside the community. We've been fortunate to have a sustained planting of trees. So I'd like to expand on that concept. What I would like to propose is that we expand our tree planting initiatives to develop a private tree planting program as well. This private program would allow our residents the opportunity to engage with the town of Neepawa to further expand our tree, what we call it. I guess we don't call it, but I had the opportunity to engage with a number of other communities, and they kind of call it, in the technical terms, tree canopy. And this initiative can be seen as furthering Neepawa's commitment to sustainability, of which there are three pillars: economic, social, and environmental. Some suggestions, and these are just suggestions that I bring forward, and they don't necessarily have to be, and how this would all work. So a selection of trees would be made available to residents on a yearly basis. You can either have one intake or two intakes, depends on how aggressive we want to start the program. The availability of trees would be a finite amount depending on budgetary requirements. So it's not just, thousands and millions of trees, which is, it's not manageable, and certainly we want to be able to keep it that way. At a select time of the year, a list of tree varieties would be published. And it's seen as being the kind of, maybe sometimes not the natural trees that we have within our environment that naturally grow here, the oaks, the aspen, the number of trees that are here, but there's other trees that, certainly Public Works, they've talked to various suppliers, and if you go online, you can see that this kind of climatic conditions, soil conditions, are conducive to what we might call not necessarily natural habitat for the trees to be in. So it's a matter of getting some more diversity within the community. The homeowner would, okay, so application for the tree would be limited to, for individual selection, and I'm just suggesting no more than 3 in a given year, but that's something that is debatable and whatever is manageable. The homeowner would pay a certain amount towards the cost of the tree, so it's not a here's a tree, go and plant it. So there's an incentive to make sure that the whole thing works. So if I've got some skin in the game as a homeowner, I'm going to get that tree planted, right? And I've seen other communities have this tree planting program, and quite often what they do, for someone who knows how to plant a tree, that's fine and dandy, but a lot of people might not, So they develop a brochure that says, this is a best practice tree planting way of doing it, right? So the homeowner would be responsible for planting the tree, so I'm not asking Public Works to come and say, okay, I got 5 trees, come onto my yard and plant 5 trees. So basically, the onus would be on the homeowner to say, okay, I make the application, and I'm going to be responsible for ensuring that it is properly located, properly planted, on my yard. And yeah. So further detail can be identified once the program has been approved. So just to give you a bit of a background, one of the very first things that I did when I moved to Neepawa is engage with the white mud, and I planted about 200 saplings on my yard. Since then, I've planted some fairly mature trees, 6-foot, 7-foot trees, purchased locally, and started my own program. So I mean, it's not something that says I'm sitting over here not doing anything. I'm actually started doing this a number of years ago. So on your presentation, I happened to go online. I'm a researcher. Some of you know that. I do my homework. So the benefit of urban trees. So this is from a website from the Nature Conservancy of Canada, which identifies the importance of trees within our natural environment. A lot of people don't understand that, and we'll get into some of those other things and say, well, this is a nice tree. It's for for shade. It's for for a number of other things, but it really does impact our natural environment. It has a tremendous and significant contributor to our environment in a number of ways. So I thought I'd bring this forward, talking about the protective diversity, reducing obesity levels, by giving a nice place to go for a walk, a nice place to sit down, have a chat with somebody underneath the tree, managing stormwater. There's a number of different things that are attributable to the planning of having a urban tree planting initiative much bigger than what we currently have. And in talking to our operations manager of the community, that is expanding exponentially in a number of other initiatives, whether it's federal, provincial, or at a local level. And so perhaps the timing of something like this is good as well. So further from the Nature Conservancy, we have a number of things. Which value delivers trees for you? How do you make it personal? And it's not just a tree to hug. I'm not a tree hugger. I just love trees. And if that goes together, that's fine. But I'm not going to strap myself to a tree if somebody wants to cut it down. Or needs to cut it down. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to mobilize a number of people to ensure that tree doesn't get cut down. It's a place where we can rest, breathe. Maybe we can earn a living with it. There's even some land availability. you know, there's people here that say, well, maybe I want to be a tree farmer. You know, I got 15, 20 acres, and then we've got some, you know, rural area within our community that perhaps is conducive to, you know, to something like that. Right? You know, maybe it's, I never thought of that. You know, so maybe I should think about that and start my own little nursery, or you know, start my own grow area. You know, so there's an economic benefit. There's a sideline. There's other things that, you know, maybe this would stimulate that would really increase the value of being from Neepawa, right? And taking pride in what we do. You're maybe just fascinated, you know, by the function of trees. You know, to take over the natural system. I've always loved trees, ever since I was a kid. I love trees, okay? And, you know, it's just something that it's kind of there. You know, whether the economy or nature, trees play a major role in people's lives. And, you know, this presentation here, you know, starts to talk about those roles that they play in our lives. And a lot of times we take that for granted. You know, we just said, was it there? Oh, that darn tree. One of the things that I moved in October, many of you know, and one of the things that I vowed at the time when I moved in October, because, you know, around October all these leaves from our coniferous trees, or our deciduous trees, you know, start to fall. And I thought, work, you know, work, cleaning up after these trees. And I kind of made a vow to myself, and here, like, this is ironic to say this. I made a vow to myself never to plant a coniferous or a deciduous tree on my property, because it just contributes to more leaves that I have to pick up. So the trees that I've planted, just so you know, are not in my yard where I have to kind of keep it clean.
Neighbor's yard.
Close to the neighbor's yard. So anyway, so I'm going to go.
I'm going to ask you,
Yeah.
our next guy's coming in like 3 minutes.
Oh, hey,
So what I want to do is
do.
give you the opportunity to answer questions from council.
I will do that.
Because we do have your whole presentation updated.
Yeah, you've got
I'm going
it.
to ask
So
all our councillors to, one at a time, signify whether you wish to have a question answered.
So jump to the bottom of that second page, because the further initiatives might, you know, stimulate questions, and I'll do that. Sorry. I'm a man of little words. Short words.
Okay, so I do have an initial question. This is onto their own private property.
Yes.
Okay, and it's to a maximum number per person per year.
Yes.
It's at the homeowner's cost.
Yeah, it's our portion there.
Okay, so your intent, if I got it correctly, would be to extend this opportunity to the residents to have the ability to get into our tree program, thereby getting trees at a discounted rate that they would then be able to plant properly. And that the trees be made available annually, where they can pre-order ahead at a cost to the residents to guarantee that they are actually going to pick up the tree. And it would be planted onto their personal property. And the reason we'd be doing this is because we want to provide an extension of our current canopy of trees, both for health benefits physically and socially.
Right on.
Okay. I took notes. So do we have further questions for past mayor?
I just have a question.
So in this plan here, so as me as a homeowner, you can just get a tree and put it wherever you want to put it, as long as it's on your private property?
I'll refer to manager of operations, Denise.
So if I understand Mr. Group properly, that, yeah, so we would use the town's purchasing power. We'd purchase 100 trees, use the power would be eligible for whatever number the committee decided that, so we'll just say 1 tree. That tree would be planted anywhere on your private property, and it would become portions. We decide whether or not the town would rebate the tree further. So you still be responsible for 2/3 of the tree value. But then, yeah, it'd be your own private tree, you can do whatever you want on
Put
your
it wherever
property.
you want on your property.
Okay, is there any kind of tree that would not be allowed to be planted? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
thinking of
definitely.
Dutch elm and, you know, maybe cottonwood with all the cottons.
Yeah, that's exactly what he had said too, is that we go through, we provide a list of maybe half a dozen trees that we know are well suited, well growing here. That we know are hardy, disease tolerant, resistant, avoid anything that's gonna look like it's gonna die from any upcoming diseases.
Any last comments, sir? Oh, we got Mr. Sorry, Councilor Gerard.
So we have, so if we're looking at using town's buying power for acquiring trees, typically what would be an average cost of a tree to do a program like this? Let's say if we said as a community, we felt that it was important that 500 trees a year were planted privately within the community. If we just were to throw it around a number like that, what would we be looking at typically on a tree purchase? I mean, I've seen the tree purchase invoices, but I mean, they're of such varying sizes. I mean, we're just talking like an initial starter tree, maybe not saplings like a white mud shelter belt program, but
No, we probably go something along the line, I would think, anywhere from 6 gallon up, maybe up to a 15 gallon, kind of give a few options, and that price point can vary probably from $20 up to maybe $60.
Okay.
And again, that's can be based on availability of some species.
gotcha.
You know, that was my question also.
All right, bonus. Well, thank you, sir. That was a good presentation.
So where do I sign up?
Well, I know the staff has taken notes, plus we have the presentation, and we actually have discussed this ahead of time. So our CAO colleague will probably be issuing a letter to you on the results of the conversation, and we'll see how we move forward.
Thank you very much, members of council. Mayor.
Thanks, Adrian. Very good, very well done presentation.
Yeah.
Are you scared to come fishing?
I seen that picture. Wow.
Yeah, well,
You didn't invite me over.
So just come up with your.
okay, we're catching them, so I didn't notice you go.
I wasn't invited.
Are you the press?
Okay, this now brings us to our 7:15 presentation. We have Brad Mummery, who's a citizen of North Cypress, Langford, but more importantly, he's a concerned citizen of the area. Brad Mummery is one of our school bus drivers who takes the safety of our students and residents into account every day that he drives the school bus. He's also one heck of an incredible artist. You can see his work at Arts Forward, and it's so good that I am jealous. A week or two ago, Mr. Mummery came into the into the town office where we had a discussion with CAO Collington Chisholm and myself, which was a very informative discussion in a two-way street where Mr. Mummery brought forward his concerns about the crosswalks. And I just love to tell you, we did what we said we'd do. We contacted Minister Doyle Panuke and his office. Anyway, so we did what we said we would do. We contacted the office, brought up the concern again because we did in fact have the exact same concern as yourself. I just wanted you to know that ahead of time, that we did not turn our ears deaf to you. We did what you asked. Anyway, Mr. Brad Mummery, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna basically read what I handed you out. Did everybody get one? Did you get one?
Yeah.
Okay. Concerning to Neepawa Town Council. Pardon me. Concerning safety issues at Mountain Avenue crosswalk at Hospital Street. I'm here as a concerned citizen who has taken the initiative to be proactive to effect a change of an existing infrastructure in the town of Neepawa that I believe to be quite hazardous to the citizens of Neepawa, especially the children. In the background, to the best of my knowledge, this crosswalk was installed at the existing location by the Highways Department in 2019 against the recommendations of the Neepawa Town Council and the Beautiful Plains School Division to install it about 50 meters north of the intersection at Hospital Street. That was a logistics nightmare at peak traffic times. And I mean, if you dispute this, I encourage you to come out at the peak traffic times, and not just one day, but on a regular basis, because you'll see what I'm talking about. I am convinced that the town of Neepawa and the Beautiful Plains School Division have done their due diligence to adapt to making this crosswalk as safe as possible for all who use it during these peak times. However, since this crosswalk was installed in the existing location, there have been some near-miss situations that could have very easily ended up tragically. I see this potential for disaster twice daily during the week in my duties as a school bus driver, and I feel that I must be proactive and exercise my due diligence to try to correct the situation before any possible accident may occur. And that's why the petition, I didn't know what else to do. So this is why I've taken the initiative to start the petition protest, which so far has received a very hopeful response by many concerned citizens who agree with this safety concern, including every school bus driver that uses that intersection during the peak traffic times. I respectfully request that this council recognize this petition and also exercise their due diligence, whatever that might be possible to do to correct this issue. And I want to thank you for this time in this matter. I just want to add a couple of little things. The record for a bus making a left-hand turn from Hospital Street on the mountain is 13 minutes. That's happened twice. I've been behind the buses. That is not me. But imagine yourself in traffic at an intersection trying to make a left turn. 13 minutes. And the traffic is stacked up behind you too. So I don't know what's going on in the heads of the drivers that are behind me. And it's when you're in a bus, you've got all kinds of sightline restrictions. There's trees, there's signs now, a big one saying crosswalk in our way, both ways. It's most people I've found quite recently have been observing the speed limit through there, but not everybody does, as we're well aware. I had a personal experience, it's been almost 2 years since it happened, but I was on Hospital Street trying to make a left turn with the bus. There was no crossing guards there at that time. Like they may have been on their way out, but they weren't there at the time. And 2 kids came riding down the sidewalk on the east side of the mountain. Okay, you're visualizing this? Didn't stop, didn't even slow down, right in front of me, 2 of them. And I'm trying to find my way to go, and I see my opportunity after the 2 kids go on the bike, so I start to go. The 3rd kid was coming on a bicycle, and he was in one of my blind spots. I didn't see him. I started moving, and I hit the brakes, and I'll bet you I was inches from running that kid over. And my heart just about went through my chest. And I think Yvonne can testify to the fact, I think it was the next morning I was still aroused, and I went to the elementary school to voice my concern about why are these kids on the sidewalk and whatnot. But that's my own personal experience with this crosswalk. Can someone help me? Correct me if I'm wrong about the background on it at least.
No, I think you've got it accurately. Both the school division and the town of Neepawa did pursue to have it in a better location. And the rationale behind the highways department, they deal with data and figures and numbers, and then they're not looking at those 2 little windows, they're looking at the whole day. There's one question I have, and I think I need to draw it. And I'm thinking about this. You got a crosswalk there and a crosswalk here, correct?
That's where they wanted it to
That's
be.
rich.
I mean, if your right hand is north.
Okay. But right here, this is where you're also trying to get your bus to come out. And you've got traffic coming here like crazy, blocking.
That's not an issue, really.
Well, it's not a safety issue, but it's a time issue, because I've been there when it's full of vehicles, they can't.
In the morning, yes. More
Because these guys are not moving. So are you suggesting that this crosswalk, this side here for traffic coming here, be stopped? And that this side, the traffic coming here be stopped so that the buses can exit in both directions until all the buses are gone?
You know,
I'm
if
just
you
thinking about temporary.
read the petition too, right, Murray?
Yeah.
And the way it was worded, it wasn't offering a solution, because a lot of people are running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to figure out what the solution might be, right? To my way of thinking, an error has been made. And
Fix the error.
personally, my personal opinion of it is fix the error, put the crossing where it was originally asked to be. We may or may not get there. At this point, I think something needs to be done. Can I use your diagram?
Yep. So, as I mentioned, CS in Chisholm has contacted the minister's office and given us very concerned again. I don't know if you want to speak on this?
Well, just to summarize, I don't think we're here today necessarily to resolve it today. We would have to do that in committee structure. So, not to say you have to leave or end this discussion. We have reached out to the department and had some good conversations with them. They will reconsider taking a look at traffic counts and everything. We have some homework to do here as well. We met with the school division already to talk to them. We think we can resolve this, but I won't give away the details at the moment, but it should be favorable. If everybody is on the same page with what gets proposed.
And we are acting on it already.
Yeah.
That's
So to
good.
resolve today, I can't, like I say, we have to make sure the department's on board. There's too many things to say, we've got the answer, and because we're on camera and everything, that's not fair. Give us some time to work that out, and we will get back to you, for sure.
That sounds very good. Thank you so much.
So if any other councilors have questions?
Just for the record, I've got 122 signatures since January the 16th, and I haven't even been trying hard. I was hurt on the job on Thursday, so I hadn't been out of my house until last night was the first time.
Draw a picture of your injuries.
Pardon?
Draw a picture of your injuries.
No, that's okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Brent.
Thank you so much.
The way you wrote this is very professional and supportive of the town. You did not come in throwing knives at us, which we really appreciate that. And showing due diligence on both angles. So you can put up another picture, and if you need somebody to draw, I think you've got a good profile.
Showed great restraint. The two crosswalks, okay, like just a little history lesson. The first one, the new one that they made, at first they had the kids walking all the way down Hospital Street and then crossing over at the high school, which I think was a better deal. And now they have two crosswalk guards. So one crosses Hospital Street, they cross Mountain and then they cross Hospital Street. So it exacerbates the situation. And
So
now
are they crossing it right at this?
Are they crossing right at the
yes, right at the spot.
Oh.
Well, one of the other issues that was happening is that it was just students everywhere crossing Hospital Street at every possible point, which made a very huge traffic issue. So the idea was to funnel them so there was no more jaywalking, and they had the RCMP out there to enforce that.
I got on the RCMP's case about it. The police officer parked his car on the path that was going across the street where they were jaywalking. And he was sitting in the car, and I watched the kids go around his car to jaywalk across the
All right,
street.
well, we better stop this conversation right now. I appreciate you coming in,
Okay, thank you.
and we'll be letting you know the results of this talk in a...
Okay, just so you know, this hasn't even been to the hospital yet, and I'm gonna probably keep going till about the end of February.
Okay. Oh, sounds good.